Endings are difficult to write. Well, difficult-ish. Now, regardless of the medium or the story someone writes, it's always hard to conclude the story in a satisfying manner, to tie all the loose ends and have a cohesive, complete and good ending. Not an easy job, but let's be honest, not too hard either. Because a bad ending is absolutely not the norm. Quite the contrary, it's uncommon for stories to have just a bad ending. Think about the last story you've experienced that was amazing for 90% of its run and then it ended in a horrible way that undid all the good parts. Usually, they get worse before the ending hits. And this is really the problem. Most of the time, you expect an unsatisfactory ending due to how the story progresses. A very simple example here would be something like Game of Thrones. Sure, the ending wasn't it, but it's not like it came as a surprise given the last few seasons. It's like the horse meme, it gradually got worse. However, when it comes to manga, I feel like a bad ending is normal. At the very least, it's more generally accepted. And that's not necessarily because of the ending itself, but rather how it got to that ending. You see, manga are usually divided into story arcs, which are a lot more blatant and obvious than traditional story arcs as they are named and labeled as such. Let's take a One Piece as an example because it's a very popular manga and a lot of people are reading it. So in One Piece we start with the Romance Dawn arc, then Orange Town, then Syrup Village, then Baratie and so on. They are very clearly separated. Now these arcs build upon each other to make up the overarching plot as time goes by, but you can see when an arc starts and when it ends, it's quite clear. These arcs can last a volume or a few volumes depending on how long the mangaka wants them to be, and they vary in quality, and this is important. Let's stick to One Piece as an example for now. One Piece has arcs that range from Long Ring Long Land Garbage,
It's embarrassing. It's a disgrace.
to something like Enies Lobby.
Peak fiction.
Then it has stuff like Fishman Island, which is decent, it's okay, and then there's Dressrosa, which is good, nothing crazy, just good. The quality of these arcs is all over the place. However, in the grand scheme, this doesn't really matter as long as the quality of the last few arcs doesn't drop significantly, and that's true for every single manga. But why does the quality drop towards the end of a manga? And I think this boils down to three main points. 1. Burnout. Here's what's crazy. When someone writes a book or the script of a film or a TV series, they work on them and when they're finished, they publish their work. They do have certain schedules they need to respect, but they usually have more than enough time to finish their work properly. We're talking about years, not months, and certainly not weeks. However, with manga, you have to put out a chapter every week. Sometimes every other week, even once a month, but that's less likely to get traction and become a successful series. Weekly chapters are the norm. That's what somebody has to do if they want a career as a mangaka. It's a tough job, but that's how things work in the industry. And here's what's interesting. The average successful manga has at least 100 chapters. For this little experiment, I looked at the top 100 manga from various sites and checked to see how many chapters they have. Took a bit of time, but the average came to 184 chapters. Of course, I took out the manga that were like 400 plus chapters, One Piece, Bleach, Naruto, because it's a bit unfair, but even with those aside, the average still came down to 184 chapters. Unsurprisingly, there were only a few manga in the top 100 with less than 100 chapters. It's hard to pinpoint exactly when they got popular, how many chapters a manga had when it blew up, but I can say with certainty that almost no manga from the top 100 has less than 100 chapters. Now the point I want to make is that it takes more than 2 years to publish 100 chapters. If they need to make a chapter per week, that's 4 chapters per month, 48 chapters per year. But you also have national holidays in Japan, like Golden Week, where they usually take breaks, so it takes a lot more time than 2 years to reach 100 chapters. But let's be generous and say the average is 48 chapters per year. Imagine working on the same story almost every day for more than 2 years. That is absolutely going to burn you out. As a side note, I used to make videos on the quintessential quintuplets. I didn't make weekly videos, but I made around 18 videos over a period of 4 years. I love the series. I love talking about it, but even then, somehow I got massively burnt out quite a few times throughout those 4 years. I did not want to get burnt out, but that's what happens when you focus on a specific thing for a long time. It's a cycle that will happen. So it's fair to say that the average mangaka is well connected with a burnout feeling. That's one of the big reasons why manga tend to deteriorate towards the end of their run. But for this to happen, the manga needs to become popular first. So, what happens when a manga gets popular? We jump into reason number 2.
Hello, I like money.
Once a mangaka finds out their work is getting popular, they tend to start padding chapters and adding things that are not needed just to lengthen their money run. And I mean, can you blame them for that? Of course not. Once you have made a successful manga, you don't know if you're going to make another, so you got to milk as much as you can, especially after you put so much time and effort into it. Now, this spirals into so many branches, it's pretty crazy, but they all eventually fall into the same pit. The original ending will no longer make sense. Surely, when a mangaka creates a story, they have a beginning, a middle, and an end plan. But things can change quickly when they figure out they can make more money by not ending things. An extreme example of this is Rent a Girlfriend. Reiji Miyajima is an absolute master at stalling any possible bit of development. You read 100 chapters of nice, smooth development? No, you dreamt about that. You read another 100 and think that now it's gonna happen? No, you're wrong. Read another 100 and come back again? No. You could do that, but trust me, nothing happens because I am caught up with the manga. We'll talk about this another time. No matter how Rent a Girlfriend ends, it doesn't really matter because the damage has been done multiple times over. It started really good, otherwise it wouldn't have gotten this popular, and then gradually got worse to the point where the ending will be bad. But this is an extreme example. I think a better and more general example would be to take any previous or current popular manga from Shonen Jump, a notorious place known for artificially lengthening the run of a manga. Now, I don't want to get into who pulls the string and does the lengthening. The point is that they are artificially lengthened for the sake of money, which inevitably deteriorates a manga over time and bites the ending in the ass, even if the ending is the same one the author planned. Now, burnout and money are two big reasons manga have such shitty endings, but the absolute biggest reason must be getting a new idea in the middle of a work, or even getting bored of your current work. I think this is the biggest manga killer there is. Getting a new idea and getting excited about it while in the middle of another work that is not close to finishing. And my mind instantly goes to Hiramoto Akira's Prison School, a phenomenal, not safe for work, comedy manga with an art style that I can't believe is real, but a manga that was ruined by its ending. The first 2/3 of Prison School were as peak as something could get, but then it started to shake a bit, gradually going through arcs that felt more pointless than the previous one. It seemed like the manga has lost its identity. Interestingly enough, Hiramoto had another manga he was working on even before he published Prison School, a manga called Me and the Devil Blues, a vastly different manga from all imaginable points. You wouldn't even believe they were made by the same person. But Me and the Devil Blues seemed to be the story Hiramoto wanted to work on. Not Prison School, that would be something on the side. But as a sad and somewhat funny twist of fate, Prison School blew up while Me and the Devil Blues never had a chance. So maybe out of frustration or whatever the reason, Hiramoto slowly lost interest in Prison School, which led to that spiteful ending. As a quick side note here, as I was looking into Hiramoto for this video, I found out that he doesn't even write anymore. He's just drawing for other writers, which, man, is incredibly sad. All his other works are on hiatus and it looks like he just gave up. Now I want to go over a live example of getting a new idea and losing interest in a current work. This might be a bold move on my part, but I want to use Aka Akasaka as an example. So if you guys don't know, Aka Akasaka is the writer for the current Oshinoko manga. The manga has been going on for around 160 chapters so far at the time I'm making this video, and it should end sooner rather than later. However, about a year ago, Aka started to work on another manga, Love Agency. Coincidentally, that's when Oshinoko switched to an unofficial bi-weekly release for quite a while. And that's fair enough, right? He needs time to work on his other manga. However, the writing quality of Oshinoko also started to drop steadily. Plot structure went from a simple pyramid to some of the most disjointed structure I've seen in my entire life. Plot points are being brought up then forgotten. One chapter focuses on something, then the payoff doesn't come. Retcons and Jesus. Let's just say that overall the quality took a dip. Now, is it because Aka started another manga? Maybe not 100%, but when you have to find time to work on 2 manga, then one is going to suffer, and it's definitely not the new manga. It could also be that Aka just got bored. He does like to take days off and play video games, and who can blame him? This is a trend that a lot of new mangaka especially partake in. Not the playing video games part, but wanting to work on another manga, a new idea, something different. It's not hard to see why, to be honest. You will get bored of your work at some point, and it's one of the most common pitfalls of bad endings. When you have to deal with burnout on top of having to artificially lengthen the run of your manga, then you have to lock in for years not letting other ideas take over, it makes sense why manga tend to end on a bad note and also why it's more accepted compared to other mediums.